Hi friends, in our time together today, I'm introducing the classical piece, The Prince of Denmark's March, also known popularly as the Trumpet Voluntary, for us to play on our low and high D whistles. Yes, it can be done, and yes, it's pretty fun, and interestingly, it's not a phenomenally difficult tune, so it's a great one for us to play. Um, And as far as classical pieces go, this one actually accepts and asks for us to ornament it. So that's pretty cool. It's one of the classical pieces that a number of our friends have asked that we dive into and learn. And so it's great for that. Now, there's a side benefit to learning this piece. And the side benefit is that just playing this piece requires us to develop and work on certain skills, particularly in our ornamentation. And so that's pretty cool. And also some expression stuff. So I love it. In addition to it being really fun. Now, it's a little longer, but it's interestingly repetitive and predictable as a flow of music. So you're not going to find it that amazingly difficult. We'll follow the usual pattern. I'll walk us through the tune, standing, just going through each phrase. And then after that, I'll have the play along with Scott section where I play through the entire tune at just a steady pace so that you could play along with me. We'll talk about challenges you might experience, and I think there are a few. Some ornamentation and expression ideas, the history of the tune, and I'm also providing a link at the top of the notes to this video to the page on my website from which you can download the music and tabs for this really fun classical piece if you use music and tabs, and they're pretty helpful. So interestingly, a lot of classical pieces it's like the music is almost set in stone. This one, I've heard people play it in a variety of ways, with repeats, without repeats, with this section, without that section. So, if you want to mess around with it, mess around with it. Don't feel bad. But I'm providing the transcription that I feel seems to be the most accurate based on what I found. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Just enjoy the tune. So, anyway, for the walkthrough, I'm using my Howard Low D, and then for a bit of a demonstration, at one point during our time together, I'm using the Tony Dixon DX004. This is the tunable, one of the least expensive tunable whistles you could get. And I want to make a point with this one. So, I'm going to walk us through the tune now. And if you want to pause me and print the music and tabs so that you can see the tabs if you use those, and then watch my hands, but however you want to do it. Now, there's a trill in the tune that I'm not going to play in this portion. Okay, here is the first part of the tune that repeats. Okay, so that's not too bad. And then we repeat that bit that was the introduction. Okay. All right, that's the first bit. It then repeats. Then after that, you're going to follow the same theme very similarly, step it up a bit, and then go back to where we were. Whew, I told you it's a little repetitive. I'll walk through each phrase with a pause between. Now you're going to recognize this next bit. Now, before I go to the last bit, or the next phrase, so you see what I mean by that feels very repetitive. In some ways, this is a reasonably predictable basic tune, and so that's really cool. You can play a really famous classical piece without tons of work. Let me move into the next section. That's it. Yeah, it's a little longer, but that's it. Quite repetitive in its flow. Now, today, and I always add chapters so that you can jump around if you want to. Today I want to talk about the trouble spots before I get to the play along with Scott section for a couple of reasons. The tune is not too horrible, but you are going to have to play, you maybe saw, you're going to have to play the G sharp. And remember, the G sharp is you play a G and then you pick up like half of, take your finger halfway off that third hole. So if I were to go G, G sharp, A, okay, so that's reasonably simple, except the tune includes trills. And a trill is just when you take a finger and flutter it. So you could do that. On the E, you could do that bottom finger, interestingly, you could flutter the finger above it. You hear a slight difference in tone. You can make your pick. Now, the real challenge is that after the repeat, you get to the G sharp, and you've got to flutter the G sharp. So the G sharp is half, cover that hole. So you can do a couple of things. Just take your finger and find that G sharp, and then just give it a little flutter. Or you can actually, I don't think it works as well, but you could flutter with the finger below. Almost cheating, right? So before the play along with Scott section, I just want to make a point using the Tony Dixon. This whistle is under $20, pretty easy. And you think sometimes that an inexpensive whistle obviously means it doesn't play as well. And we talked about this recently when I introduced a few high D whistles under $80, I think it was. Yeah, and this is the least expensive. I just want to make a quick point by showing that you can have a lot of fun with classical music. And I am going to demonstrate a practice session where I'm playing this through in a couple days. But I just want to take a moment to play a bit. Oh, I should sit down because I'm playing the high D. Ha! Silly me. Okay, that's enough of that. It's a lot of fun. I'm having fun with it. And I wanted to do that to demonstrate that G sharp flutter. You could just take your finger at an angle and bounce it. You just learned something new. Or maybe you already knew that. I hope you did. You know I'm a huge fan of a full piper's grip. However, with this tune, and I've been wanting to move to that modified piper's grip, and I haven't done it on the bottom hand, but with this tune, I found myself wanting to do that. See, just a little flutter there. It doesn't have to sound amazing. Anyway, here's the play along with Scott section, and I'm going to include the trills, and I'm just going to go at a steady to moderate pace. And I'll play it without ornamentation, even though I'm dying to play it with ornamentation. Remember, I said, as a classical piece, this one just wants you to ornament it. my friends, is the entire tune. Yes, as I've said, it feels a little longer, but I hope you realized how the flow is predictable and the tune's pretty repetitive, so you don't have to learn that many sections. Now, we've talked about challenges. Remember the G sharp. And you'll notice in my playthrough that I didn't necessarily hit that perfectly. That's okay, just keep going. Just work on it. And it's a lot of fun. So I want to now jump, since we've already talked about challenges, to ornamentation and expression. I'm really looking forward to a couple of days when I share a practice session with you. Because I think this tune wants to be ornamented. So some ideas and going through it. So you're going to use the trills. Have fun with the trills. If you don't want to do the trills, throw a roll in there or a double cut or something. So, or see, you can do a lot of different things. And it just wants you to ornament it. One interesting thing, you get to that second section, there's a break there. There are a few things you could do there that are fun, I think. Like this is an expression standpoint. So you're just holding that. So you could sorry. That's kind of fun. Or you can hit the A's and a step down and go an octave up, which I think is kind of punchy. Have fun with this tune. Practice session coming in just a couple of days. Let's think now through the history of the tune. The tune is officially called the Prince of Denmark's March, though you may, as I said, be aware, think of it as Trumpet Voluntary. It's like there was a period in history, different parts of the world, the U.S., where this was like the wedding march that a lot of people used. As Cindy and I were chatting yesterday, my wife Cindy, and this was what we used as our wedding march, where I was waiting for her and she's coming in. She's walking down the aisle to somebody playing Trumpet Voluntary on an organ. It's kind of fun. So this tune was composed by Jeremiah Clarke. Jeremiah was born in London in 1674, and he died in London in 1707. Was not that old. He was a gifted musician, but kind of a tragic life, and he died young. You can look him up more, get the details of that if you're interested. He was a popular composer in some areas. He likely composed the tune near the end of the 17th century. He released a keyboard version of the tune in 1700. Interestingly, in 1837, a collection of pieces came out, and the piece was in that collection. Whoever compiled the collection didn't know who wrote it and said, they put as the composer Henry Purcell, and then put a question mark beside Purcell's name. But later collections took the question mark out, and the tune became attributed to Henry Purcell. And that's kind of sad that Jeremiah Clarke lost lost any record of that. But after a little while, people realized, oh, wait a minute. Purcell didn't write that. Clark did. So, now, you may know the piece, as I said, as Trumpet Voluntary, used in weddings and a lot of concert pieces. It's a very popular version, but there is like no evidence that Clark meant this as a trumpet piece. It may have been meant for organ, strings, something else. But it's intended to be pretty dynamic. In the expression piece, I didn't say that you can really vary your expression from a volume standpoint and a punchiness standpoint. That's kind of fun. Listen to a few versions to get that kind of figured out. But it is said, again, we don't know for sure, it is said that Clark wrote this in honor of Prince George of Denmark around the time of his marriage to Anne of England in July of 1683. That was a political alliance wedding. Anne was the second daughter of James II. The piece was not played at their wedding. Somebody else's music was. But it's likely that Clark wrote it in their honor. So it's nothing else other than some maybes out of that. So I hope that's helpful. My friends, please dive into this really, really fun tune. I hope you enjoy learning the Prince of Denmark's March, Trumpet Voluntary. I think it's a blast. In a couple of days, like I said, I'll share a practice session where I'm experimenting with some ornamentation. I'm experimenting with some of those dynamics of the volume and the punchiness. It's going to be a blast, so hang tight. In the meantime, you experiment for yourselves. If you're just checking us out, please subscribe. We have a community of folks learning to play the whistle together. I think it is brilliant. We're focused on the low whistle, but we throw in a lot of other stuff. If this is helpful to you, please like the video. That lets YouTube know that we're a community of folks helping each other. Well, what it does is it tells YouTube to pay attention to us and show us to other folks. Until next time, my friends, this is Scott Shade. Happy whistling.